Coming up on today's wrestling news, a massive return tipped for AEW All In.
Major All In card changes.
And Mariah May on kissing Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa.
And Chris Jericho on the Please Retire chants.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Michael Hamflett.
And this is the news. And before we dive into these first two stories, huge spoilers for All In coming your way.
Yeah.
That is why we have the timestamps in the description below. So if you don't want to hear about all that, skip ahead to our third story.
Got about 6 inches along into the third story.
Indeed.
Massive.
Right.
Massive.
So, All In. It goes down this Sunday. We cannot wait. We'll be in attendance for it. And a major wrestling legend could be showing up. So, this past weekend, Fightful Select reported that Sting had been backstage at recent AEW Collision episodes, as Darby Allin had spoken about in a recent interview. Hadn't appeared in any of the roles, obviously, since his retirement, but that could be changing very soon. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select has learned that the legendary Sting has told numerous people close to him that he was slated to make the trip to London for All In. Now, no word as to whether that means he's going to be, replacing Bryan Danielson in the main event, or just visiting. Or
Casino Gauntlet, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Fancies a shot at the belt.
Well, Evil Uno's not going to be in it anymore, so no word as to whether he's going to even just appear on screen or in any capacity for AEW. But let's not forget AEW and Sting, great relationship and All In. Such a huge show. Darby Allin involved in a coffin match.
Here's a rotten stinger. I want to shout out a couple of days ago, this was, before this story dropped. I think it was JP on Grapple, our friends over at Grapple, who suggested that what if Sting just popped out of a coffin?
Exactly.
And whoa! And now you hear a story like that and you think, well, if he's not going out of a coffin, he's going on the top of the building. A Sting will be at large. What if there's 3 Stings? Sting's sons. Get them all on the plane. Darby and a bunch of Stings.
I've zip-lined from the top of Wembley before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, so if you can do it, the Stinger can. Is that what we're saying? Yeah, this is why we put this in spoiler tags. Because obviously brilliant reporting from Fightful, this, as usual. And could be nothing, but at the same time, if it is something, we appreciate why people might not want to know. And we have to talk about it, I guess, with grubby aggregators, that's how it should. But if you don't want to know that kind of thing, and some people going into the show presumably won't, then it's going to be the shock of all shocks, right?
Jesus!
And a little bit of me wonders, and I always think this, when stuff gets out in wrestling, things get out, there's always reasons for things getting out, even if it's just great journalism, as this might be. But if people wanted to know about this, someone's still on the fence about buying a ticket, that's a thing to even
that's a good point.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
That could happen. Jamie Hayter could return.
This is it, yeah. They're not telling you, they're not saying, well, we're not promising, promoting anything. What a cool thing to even get excited about with days to go. Most people watching this, presumably from the UK, and you bought a ticket, you would have been going for the stuff that AEW's already announced. So the fact that this is on the card, potentially.
I can't believe it's Sunday.
It's amazing, isn't it?
We're going to be going down the next few days.
It's all so exciting now. I think I've noticed this a lot. I've just got back from holiday myself, so I was diving right back into Twitter and X last night for all the conversation, and it just feels like everybody's hype has happened all at once.
Yeah.
Here in the UK, obviously, with great respect to our American listeners and viewers and friends, it's the sort of thing where they're going to watch a big stadium show, much in the way that we would watch so many big stadium shows.
It was so early for them, though.
You couldn't help yourself, could you? But I think obviously if you go into the show, or if you're in the UK and you're part of all the hype and the buzz, it's really hit this week, isn't it?
Yes.
Cardiff Dynamite has actually added to that.
Cardiff England Dynamite was absolutely incredible, yeah.
We'll talk about that. We'll wrap it in the spoilers, because then we'll force some more plugs in, because we're going to do it. Yeah. But there was a spoiler coming out of last night's Dynamite, because they did a Dynamite and Collision taping in Cardiff. So again, we sort of encourage you to go to the third story if you want to. But there was going to be the advertised qualifier for the final spot in the Trios ladder match for the Trios belts. As currently
London ladder match.
The London ladder match, thank you. Currently the Patriarchy, the champions. And please fill in the gap of the team that I've suddenly forgotten.
Wait a second, what you say?
Patriarchy, Hazy Biek, and the Bing Bing Ging. Thank you very much. And there was going to be one more spot available, and that was going to be contested between Top Flight and Leo Rush. Versus, and these were the eventual winners, here comes the spoiler, the Bastard Combat Club.
Yes!
Of Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Pac, who of course was rumoured to be getting on the card as part of Death Triangle, but now everything that's going on with Lucha Brothers was making people think, well, he's not going to wrestle at all. His title shot was scheduled for All Out, and it just felt like it wasn't going to be his year. Well, it is. He's on the card. He's going to be an honorary member of the BCC for the night, as I guess he was in Blood and Guts.
B standing for Bastard.
Bastard. Which presumably means, again, unless he's a surprise, no Jon Moxley at all.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, maybe, who knows. But yeah, Pac, Claudio and Wheeler were successful in the match against Top Flight and Leo Rush. That'll air this Saturday on Collision. So like Pac getting in at the last, getting his Wembley appearance after he lost it last year as well. A lot of talk about London Ladder and Wembley moments. It's like a little bit WWE pilled, I think, for some AEW fans. I don't mind it. Like maybe it's because from the UK. Like I kind of want to watch this insane spot fest. I'm all about insane spot WrestleMania. Like cards like this should have range, and that's what this match provides. It's going to be bananas.
Yeah,
you got 9 guys out there plus all the extras. 3, 6, 9, 12 guys out there. Plus Mathron. 12 guys plus all the ancillary characters. I want Nick Wayne's mom up a ladder. Well,
she is one of the trios champions.
Well, this is it. Just reclaim her belts. Pac is going to do something wild, off a ladder, possibly through a table. On the night, I think this is a perfect fit personally. I understand why it's maybe not for everyone, like pointing at signs and all that, but I think this is the right time and the right night for the right kind of match.
I'm one of a very select group of people who wasn't able to be at All In last year, so who's buzzing to
go
watch wrestling. Yeah, exactly, going to watch wrestling at Wembley, so yeah, I don't care, more of this sort of thing for me.
You'll be so buzzing to get to All In.
Yeah.
You'll probably be there like front of the queue, let me in, bang on doors, yeah?
Well, not necessarily, because we're only minutes away from Wembley according to our Airbnb.
What are we doing?
I was asking Phil about it yesterday.
Okay, right.
But also, what else is minutes away from Wembley? And thankfully, the wonderful guys at Sweet Chin Disco have even shared a map of this on their socials of just how close it is to Wembley, where Crystal Club is, because not only is Sweet Chin Disco going down there after All In, but our live show is happening before All In. What a warm-up for that show. The buy-in before the buy-in, basically. Come to it, whatculture.com/tickets. We're doing a live show, we're doing an extended meet and greet, and then we're going we'll all be wandering over to Wembley for the big show, and then heading back to Crystal Club for Sweet Chin Disco afterwards, because Max Caster's going to be there, Prince Nana's going to be there. It's so popular, it's already sold out. But do not worry, once that hand falls on the 3 and Bryan Danielson's career's end. But he doesn't want him to win, apparently. As soon as that happens, head back to the Crystal Club, because there will be limited tickets available on the door. It is going to be such an awesome night. I was chatting to Sam from Sweet Chin Disco about it last night. We've been making some plans. He's reiterated I'm not allowed to say anything else about potential surprises.
It's a good egg, Sam, but I was away on holiday and forgot to get my tickets when it sold out, so if you could sort me out on the door, I'd really appreciate that. Thanks.
Or if you want to turn up and just say, I'm Michael Hamflett, if you've got a big square head, you'll get in as well. So.
No problem. That's how Gunther's getting in. That's what I hear.
Welcome back, if you skipped all the spoilers.
Yes, good morning. We've got some big news.
So, the spoilers were in. No, I'm joking. We're talking now about Mariah May, talking all about the reaction to her kissing Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm on AEW television. She said it wasn't pitched, we just did it. Mina and I are extremely close. We've always been close in Stardom, we just did it. The next time around, they were like, hey, can you guys stop kissing? I think there's a bit of an archaic view on it. I've got to agree with her on this. People seem to think that we have no autonomy over our bodies. It's my choice who I kiss. It's my choice what I do. If I'm not comfortable doing something, I would always say so. I remember seeing The Usual Suspects being like, oh my God, this is setting women's wrestling back so much. It's like, first of all, no one made us do it. We chose to do it. And that's just how we show affection to each other. We always have in our friendship. If I don't want to do something, I won't. But myself, Mina and Toni are 3 extremely decorated women's wrestlers who, off our own backs, have become very successful all over the world. And to try and tell us we're setting women's wrestling back was pretty crazy to me. The numbers don't lie, and they spelled disaster for you at Sacrifice. No, sorry, I got confused there. I think myself, Toni and Mina got the best rated segments for about 8 weeks in a row, and as we should. Quite right from Mariah May, this.
Too right. Cool of her to kind of talk this up and be so upfront about, kind of like divisive or contentious issue at the time. And of all the weeks to do it, this is the one, right? Because here we are. Like, it's All In week. Her and Toni Storm's going to be one of the most hotly anticipated matches of the entire weekend. It's the angle of the year in AEW for me still.
Wow.
Like, honestly, that turn on Toni Storm by Mariah May.
Yeah.
And everything that they built to that. Kind of like the last stage of all of that was the stuff with Mina Shirakawa, right? Like the fact that she's been folded back into things right now is interesting, because will she factor in to the weekend? Is that, I imagine that she's working RevPro, or she's certainly at large in London, so she's like a potential presence in this match after the 3 of them had finally all come together when Toni and Mina were kind of fighting over Mariah's affection. So I love that like Mina was this last chapter before we got to the turn, basically. And yeah, fair play to Mariah May as well. Like, confident enough to like put her head above the parapet at this point, because she's been so well established in AEW. She could be the next AEW women's champion.
Probably.
If she doesn't get it done at Wembley, I think she might, but if she doesn't get it done at Wembley, there's every chance they stip it up for All Out as well. It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah,
massive.
Absolutely. Yeah, really, really good stuff. Like, it's amazing to say that's on a par with Mercedes versus Britt Baker, but without question, the build has been really exciting. Like you say, the tone was incredible. And they didn't want to do it, they wouldn't have done it. Like, obviously.
From a wrestler that doesn't deserve any derision from the fans to one that does. Chris Jericho was speaking to the Daily Star, some of them wrestling boffins.
Daily Star!
Some of the Graps boffins must have sat down with Chris Jericho. Obviously doing the press junket ahead of All In this weekend, which feels like what this video's been. But Chris Jericho spoke on a number of issues, but specifically on the Please Retire chants and his age and his experience and all that, kind of the mixed bag of what that entails at this stage in his career. He skips over why those chants started, but he says Sting at 64 retired and everybody is different. To me, when the Please Retire chants were going, I was laughing. I added that because I have zero intentions of that. I've got a six-pack, I can do a moonsault, and I was bombing it around, and so now I make shitloads from wrestling, thanks mate. Sorry. I've got a six-pack, I can do a moonsault, I know exactly what I'm doing in the ring, I know how to write storylines, I like the company I work for, I like my boss, I like the guys and girls in the company. Why would I want to retire? What's the point? Because somebody told me to? F off! I remember the Rolling Stones in '89 when they did the Steel Wheels tour, they were calling it the Steel Wheelchair tour. The Stones are too old, the Stones should retire. I just saw the Stones 2 months ago and they were amazing. They didn't care. You retire when you know it's time and you know it's right. It's not the right time now until that moment when I feel this needs to stop. I have no intentions of looking like I've never taken a bump in my life.
No.
Fair play to Chris Jericho. Unrelated, I understand that the Fozzy gig that's been moved to a smaller venue, tickets are still available. So there's a free plug for that. That's what Chris Jericho thinks to Please Retire. Why? It's nice of me to give him a...
I don't want him to retire. I want him to go away for a bit. That's all. It's fascinating, this, isn't it? Because he did the whole learning tree thing and he's like, because wanted the booze actually, so this works perfectly.
If anything. There's that, he's working Hook, obviously, FTW title.
I presume he'd better drop it.
Yeah, he will, won't he?
Yeah, sure.
Fozzy are doing another live performance.
I was chatting to Scott about this yesterday on the Dynamite preview. Go and check that out, by the way. I know Dynamite's already happened, but just really interesting to chat to someone like Scott Tail from What Culture Gaming about his love of AEW. Scott says he just skips past the segments.
Yeah.
But it has been good for people like Big Bill and Brian Keith. I think Big Bill would have been great regardless.
I get a bit of grief when I talk about Chris Jericho because I'm not a huge fan of watching him. But I will say, where I never think age and going for his look or physical, any of that sort of stuff is irrelevant. If a guy thinks they can go and offer something of value, nobody wanted Terry Funk to ever stop when he was having his ECW legacy run or anything like that. And look, there are countless examples of wrestlers aging so much better than they used to and being able to go loads longer. So your mileage will vary on all of those and when wrestlers should call it a day or whatever. I think Chris Jericho is kind of willfully maybe misrepresenting where some of those chants came from.
Yeah.
The origin of those, and indeed maybe some of his AEW legacy, which I understand why he would defend, but maybe some of the people that have worked with him might not be quite so generous of that. But, I suppose as long as you're being nice about it, let us know what you think about Chris Jericho in the comments below. He remains a contentious figure.
He's right about the Stones, but they're not on tour 52 weeks of the year,
That's
are they?
it, yeah. That's it.
Just less is more. That's what I reckon. But let us know your thoughts, as Hamlet says, in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and join us later on today for the after news. In the interim, why not watch this video right here? See you later.